Hello. Welcome to our next Facebook Live. We are going to be talking today a little bit about big, bold, intentional branding and what that does for your ideal client and your not so ideal client. So, kind of how it speaks to the people that you want to be speaking to. Emma will be joining us just a second here. And she's just signing on to our page. But in the meantime, this is something that we, as a business, I think have really kind of embraced for ourselves. And I think that it's something that's really important for all of our clients. The people that we work with really understand the importance of owning a business that is a really potent expression of yourself, and that really feels like an authentic expression of who you are. And, one of the things about having your own business is that you really can be the full you, as opposed to, when you're working for someone else's business and you're living underneath their umbrella and their ethos. So the thing is, when you have your own business and you can really do your own thing, let's see if I can, there we go. Here, Emma's going to be joining us here. What happens when you do that? What happens when you really step into being exactly yourself, having exactly you?
Hi,
And hey there, how's it going?
it's going. Sorry for the, I kept trying to join and then I couldn't and then whatever.
That's
Hi,
all right. Hi.
you're doing
So
great. Take it away.
I was just kind of vamping. I didn't want to get too far into it without you, but yeah, no, this is something that I think that you and I have talked about a lot, both for ourselves and for our clients. And I think we were kind of excited to kind of delve into that a little bit today. So, um,
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that I know when we were, sorry, I'm trying to raise the volume.
okay.
When we were talking about this last night, is one of the things that you mentioned was, that you don't, when you own your own business, you don't have to put up with nonsense that you don't want to put up with. Whether that is shorthand for politics you find repugnant,
Mhm.
or just an area of the type of work that you do that doesn't necessarily agree with you, you get to choose. And the way that you get people to self select whether they're opting in or opting out is to show up as who you are. Um,
Well, I think it makes for a much more sustainable business to start with. Like, just from the standpoint of, you know, I'm going to be in business for myself. How do I make this something that I want to do? How do I make this something that is going to be worth it when it's stressful and income is up and down and it's, 4 in the morning and you're finishing up a launch, and, you know, what makes that worth it? Because it has to be worth it. It is really hard sometimes. Like,
yeah, yeah.
I
It's way
think,
too much to do if it's not worth it.
right, right.
And look, if you get into it and decide it's not worth it, that's totally valid. No shame. Um, because if it's not going to sustain you, if it's making you money but isn't sustaining you as a person, um, and you think that something else could sustain you more easily, great, go for it.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Um,
But I think the more we step into a business that feels like us, that feels like, you're doing the things that you think are cool and that you enjoy doing and that bring you joy, um, the more sustainable it feels and the more you want to do with it. I think that people get themselves in the should box of like, I should run my business this way, I should be doing these sorts of things, I should be, launching this particular way, selling this particular product. serving this particular type of client. And, you know, that might make you more money in the short run. You know,
Mhm.
there are certain things that are going to be more effective just if you need cash right now. But longer term, you're going to have more success, and you're going to, be able to spend more time in your business and do more with it. If it's something that you're like, I love this, I love doing this thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, so
Um, I I was thinking it might be. I mean, I think you and I have talked around this subject before, but we haven't really ever sort of named those things, those essentials for us.
right.
Do you want to maybe identify some of those things?
Yeah,
Because I know people will be able to relate who have their own businesses.
for sure. Um, do you want to start? You have anything that was your
Yeah, I mean, I think one that's really easy is we don't want to work with assholes. We don't. We've all had experiences with terrible clients or people whose beliefs or businesses kind of make you like, oof, okay, but it's money, so eh. And I think that when you can eliminate that from the equation altogether, then your foundation is automatically so much better than it would be. Um, and I'm not under the impression that everybody can afford to do that necessarily.
sure?
Um, Obviously, Maslow's pyramid is everything. Um, but if you are able to do that in a way that isn't detrimental, if you are able to do that in a way that becomes additive, then you should absolutely do that.
Yeah, I think for me, I think back to when I first started my business, um, 10 years ago ish, almost 10 years ago. Um, and the types of clients that I worked with at the beginning were like literally anyone who would have me. I knew that I needed to get my name out there and I needed the money,
Yeah.
just and for one, I was undercharging for what I was doing by a lot. Um, and so the types of people who are attracted to, ooh, this is the cheapest option, aren't necessarily the types of people who are going to be fun to work with, because
Right.
you would think like, oh, this, I'm doing this person this big favor by giving them this awesome product for such a low rate. But when it comes down to it, then they're going to be like, well, I need this and this and this, and I'm going to fine tune this. I'm not going to be happy with that. And, you know, it's always, how can I get more out of this deal? And
Yeah.
I had some really
They don't
horrible
value it.
clients. Yes. Yeah. They don't value what you do. One of the first things I did when I started my business was I ran a, basically a giveaway. And I said, I will write your about page for free if you write a testimonial for me, and I can use you in my portfolio. And I said I would do this for 3 people. I had, I think, one who was a friend of a friend who signed up, loved it. We had a great time. It was awesome. And it was something that she couldn't have afforded to do for herself at that time normally. So that was great. Everybody else flaked. Every other person who I was going to write a free about page for was like, wow, I'm not sure if I'm ready for this. And
My God.
can you get back to me in like a couple of weeks? And it was like, I mean, I guess. And I think about that now, like
Hang on one
giving,
sec. Keep talking. I need to plug my phone in. Keep talking.
yes, yeah. Um, Giving that away for free now seems, one, crazy, but also like what a huge value I was giving, and just like, no, just not gonna do it, not interested, not gonna keep up with it. And you know, it's it was frustrating at the time, but looking back on it, it's like, no, that doesn't work. That doesn't work because I wasn't valuing myself. And so they weren't valuing what I was doing. And the reason I had such awful client experiences early on were because I wasn't calling my actual right client. I wasn't speaking to the person who is meant for me. I was just like, come on, I'll write your copy. Let's do this. Ring my bell and hold up a, sandwich board. Um, it was like anybody off the street who wants copy written, I'm on it. And some of them were not bad people, not necessarily bad clients, but really stressful and anxiety producing for me because it was a voice that wasn't comfortable for me, and it was a way of working that wasn't comfortable for me. And I think that the more specific I got and the more intentional I got, the more I got away from that. Like, I'm not, I am not the person to write sales postcards for your automotive wrapping or whatever screen business, which was something that
Right.
this guy came back to me like 10 times with more projects and more projects. And it was miserable every single time. Not because he
Yeah.
was awful, but because it was just like so salesy, and direct mail, like in that particular way, is just not my jam.
Well, and I think there's this phenomenon that happens when you keep going down that path too, because I've been there also, which is that you start dreading the work that you're supposedly doing because you love.
Right.
It's like you're poisoning the well.
Yes.
Um, and and I think particularly if you come from a specific type of background where you are taught to believe that just take it and be grateful and keep going and stiff upper lip, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I think you sort of may start to feel like you don't deserve to complain, you don't deserve to be picky because are you paying your bills? Yeah, you're paying your bills. So what's the problem? Um, and I understand that. I mean, that is a perspective that has served many people well for many centuries,
Sure.
or that has at least made things slightly easier for them for many centuries.
Mhm.
But I think that, the saying goes, when you know better, you do better. And I think that we know better now. We know that whatever it is that and I don't want to get super, super woo about this, but the level at which you're putting yourself out there is the level that's going to respond to you.
Right.
Like calls like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so if you're saying, this is what I do, this is the value of it, I don't do these other things,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not willing to bend on these issues.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then anyone who wants you to is not going to be interested because it'll be too hard, it'll be too much work, or they're not going to feel understood or whatever. And that's that self-selection piece, right? That's the, um, you know, if you've got a brand that doesn't at all look like I'm thinking specifically of Tommy Hilfiger, who I've always been horrified by. um, I'm not at all interested in anything Tommy Hilfiger puts out. I would never dream to even look in that direction. So I'm self-selecting. I'm opting out. I'm going to go somewhere else. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that that works on a personal level as well.
Yeah.
And that it works in your favor because the more clear you are about who you are, the more clear your people will be about who you are and what they need from you.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I think the more you speak to your right person, to your ideal client, the more they're going to understand what you do and how you do it for them, and they are going to respond to you. And the people who are your not ideal client, your wrong person, or whatever you want to call it, they're going to self-select out, and you're going to have less of this soul-sucking work, which I have to be honest. I mean, there have been many, many times throughout my career where I have worked with people who I'm like, don't love this, we don't quite jive, or I don't love the type of work that I'm doing with them. But I did it because it was, and every single time, it has been a drain on my energy. It has
Yeah.
been less, less money in my pocket in the long run, because when I work with my ideal client, it goes quickly and it's fun, and I don't stare at the screen for 3 hours trying to figure out one more way to say this thing. I just kind of like, oh, it's done? Oh, cool. And I think that and I know that that's not necessarily, um, like, not every business has that aspect to it. If you sell a
Right.
physical product, you might not care from the standpoint of like, who's going to hand me cash to hand them this product, but you're creating a brand identity based on the people who buy from you. And
Yeah.
even if you never have to interact with that person, they're still pushing your brand. They're still forming your identity as a company. And so, you know, you might be fine with, you know, whoever buying your products, but if they're going to bring in the wrong kind of business, and they're going to be the people who come back to you and say, well, this thing broke, or I'm not happy with this after all, or, you know, they're not going to joyfully interact with you as you become more and more yourself. You're it's counterproductive.
Yeah, it is. It is. One thing you said reminded me of something I read in. I subscribe to Kelly Deals's weekly love letter,
Mhm.
and if anybody watching isn't familiar with her, look her up. She's awesome. In her, I think it was her last one, maybe from last week. Um, she mentioned that when she's writing for a client, or when she's writing her own materials, she picks one person to write to, and she addresses that person.
Mhm.
And I think that's so perfect because, I mean, yeah, you're going to have different types of clients, but the more specifically I can say to you, hey, Katie, I know that these are your top 5 priorities in your life. I know these are your pain points,
Mhm.
and I want to help you with them. And here's how I want to do that. Um, that breaks through the clutter, that breaks through the noise, and it forges a real person to person connection. Even if even if you're not, how can I say this? Even if something is from Dossier or from, you know, And Yet, which is a company owned by another person I hugely admire, Sarah Avenir, or whatever, even if it's not from one person to one person, the more specifically you can address your ideal client, the more clearly that call will be out there, and the more clearly they will see the benefit of, oh, this is really cool. This is really speaking to me. This is for me. I mean, like, take the example of Black Milk, right?
Right.
You said like a month ago, oh my God, it's like, I don't remember your exact words, but it was something to the effect of, they're inside my head. They're making the clothes I want to wear.
Like my
Yes,
shirt that I'm wearing right now, in fact.
I noticed that.
Yes.
Very
And the
nice.
last live, I think, and yesterday. It's like, yep. And that's exactly it. I mean, not every single thing that they do is for me. There have been plenty of
Right.
things that I've looked at it and been like, "Hmm, I don't think that I am necessarily the specific client that they're creating for. But I'm close enough that I hear it and I say, oh,
Yeah.
I love this, 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 this. Don't love that one as much, but I'm already broke because I've already bought these other ones. So,
Right. I'm in.
um, yeah. So, I think that um, there is that very specific thing that they do so well, which is they do pattern amazingly. They do color, and they do things that are just outside of the norm, which is something that I
Mhm.
really appreciate. because it is really hard to find, in my experience, things that are like not, how do I put this?
It's almost like their cuts and their styles are fairly traditional, but the execution is unusual enough that you could walk into, you know, a very nice party. You could visit somebody's grandmother. You could whatever, or you could throw on some boots and go to a concert and be, or go in the backyard and pull weeds, and like you're still comfortable and you're fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's edgy enough while also being comfortable and appropriate.
Right. Right. And
That
I
work?
think, yes, it does. And I think that that slight bit of edginess suits me well at this point in my life because I've got two kids. I can't, it's not practical for me to wear the sort of things that I wore in my early 20s. It's not practical for me to.
Oh, I've seen pictures.
I don't, I don't know what you're talking about. There are no pictures. We didn't have cameras back then. Um, so, but yeah, I mean, I can't show up to my kid's school dress like I would have back then. But that doesn't mean that that person is not still inside me. And so
Yeah,
I think that, when there's a brand that speaks to that side of me, but does it in a way that I can still interact and I can still relate and I can still appreciate it. Um, I really, I it's rare to find it, and I do kind of go a little bit overboard sometimes because I'm like, all those things, bring me all those things,
here's
um,
all my money.
all my money. Um, but I mean, this is again what we've been talking about with intentionality. They don't
Yeah,
sidestep it. They don't kind of go like, well, we're going to have some things that are kind of like a little more traditional. They're like, no, this is who we are. This is everything is bold. And yes, they have plenty of like neutrals. They have plenty of basic, simple cuts or, a black top or black pants or something like that. But at the same time, they really, even those things, they really lean into this identity.
yeah,
And um, I think that it helps to strengthen everything that they do. Like if I bought a plain black top from them, I would still feel slightly more edgy knowing that it was part of this line that they do, that's, all these other things. And I think that it really, the more you embody your brand ethos, the more it soaks into every part of what you're doing. And the more, people are going to be like, that's what I want. That's what I want to interact with. That's what I want to buy from. That's what I want to, work with.
yeah. And I think it's important too to talk about how one of the things, one of the really crucial parts of having a strong brand is knowing that the customer knows what to expect from you.
Yes.
Um, and knowing that they can count on a certain set of, they can count on certain parameters. They can count on whatever the experience is going to be, it's going to be the same the next time and the next time and the next time. Even if that experience is, you know, an air of mystery or the experience is that something unusual happens. They know what to count on. And the human being really craves that sense of, oh, I can relax here because I know what to expect. And since this is something I like and I can relax, it is intensely pleasurable for me. We have a local brewery that is kind of unusual in that, um, they have a space theme. You walk in and there's like, space murals and I think they do like star watching things.
Hmm.
All of their brews are named after, stars or planets or what have you, riffs on that. They also happen to be very much into animal rights and veganism.
Hmm.
And so they have a lot of like they'll have vegan food trucks show up outside, and they often will have like, hey, check out these rescue dogs that you can adopt, and blah blah blah. And they're also just two of the nicest people possibly in the world. Strange combination. Once you've experienced it, it's you think, oh, this is so nice because I walk in here, I'm greeted like I'm a friend. Everyone's very kind and gentle. There's always something interesting happening. And I know that I can expect this time after time after time after time. Is it a weird ass like identity to create? Yeah, that's super weird.
Yeah.
Nobody would have thought of combinations.
Mm-hmm.
It worked. And
Yeah.
they're consistently full and they're very popular and it works for them.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, and this isn't a place where there's you can't like swing a cat without hitting a brewery.
Sure.
So um, I think that combination is just it's pretty magical. It's got something to it. You give people something very specific. You let them know that you understand them and that they can count on this happening again and again and again. And that intentionality, you carry that through every single part of your brand, create something unshakable, and it will gather for you types of people that you will want to continue to interact with,
Mhm.
that will bring you life, that'll bring you cash, that'll bring you, the kind of life that you want.
Yes. And I think, but speaking to that, so this intentionality in branding, I think that it comes from kind of having a really full understanding of all of the things that are part of who you are. And I wrote a course a few years ago called Run Your Business Like a Magazine. And some of the things that we did, I think, it took a little pulling to bring people along with it, because some of the exercises were like, what are you into? Not your business. What are you into?
Yeah.
Do you love, um, cooking or baking pies? Do you love hip hop? Do you love um, early 19th century German artwork? Do you love, like where where is your passion that may not have anything to do with what you're doing in the world, in your business? And
Yeah.
Taking the extra time to go, well, I really love this, that, and that. I really love, what you love colors everything that you do. And
Yeah.
being able to bring that into your brand and say, look, we have a branding agency, but we love these things. And the people who also love these things are going to really relate to it. I have written a lot of copy over the last 10 years for um, tarot readers, energy healers, um, various types of psychics, and people and intuitives, um, because it's something that I'm really interested in. It's something that, you know, whoever would have known that my modern occult philosophy class in college was going to be so influential in my life. But I mean, realistically, having that background and having that understanding, it makes it a lot easier to speak to those types of clients, and it makes it a lot easier for them to go, okay, you get me. And that's not to say that I don't work with all sorts of other clients and I haven't had all sorts of other experiences, but
Right.
Bringing some of that into who I am and bringing some of that into how I present, it helps call my people. It helps call the people who,
Yeah.
and to every single one of them has been a joy to work with. Every single one of them I would love to work with again. Every single one of them has, we've resonated in a way that was like, we get each other, we're on the same page, we have a similar feel for how this is going to work, we trust each other. And I think that leaning into that and saying, I'm not, I'm not like a psychic marketing agency, but
Right.
you know, there are things that speak to me. I think that calling that out is really powerful. And I think that it does bring the right people to you.
Please hold. Alexa's telling me our half hour is up. Alexa, off. Alexa, off. She's a little stubborn sometimes.
She is. She is.
Um, yeah, I think there's still a little bit of a misconception that businesses deal with the public, and that it's like, hi, I'm a business. Hello, I'm a member of the public. And that's not how it works. People deal with people.
Right.
Um, there's an author named Kate White, and she writes a lot of fun mysteries, but she also has written a couple of career books for women. And the first one I read, it was probably at my first full-time job. So I was like 21 or something. And she has an example in there of, a friend of hers had a couple of, no, sorry, it was somebody she was mentoring. This young woman she had a few job interviews lined up, and she'd ask her after every one, how did it go? And so she's, yeah, I think I did okay. Yeah, that one went pretty well too. The third one, I don't know. I think I was probably too much. Like we kind of just sat around telling jokes, and um, I did my crazy laugh that I don't normally do in front of people that I'm interviewing with, and yeah, I don't know. I probably ruined that one. Well, that's the job she was offered,
Right. Because that's the
you
one where
know,
she was herself.
because yeah, she was herself, and they got to see who she was and what she was really like. And is it risky because nobody likes to feel rejected? Of course it is. But the gains far outweigh any potential embarrassment or rejection or whatever that you might suffer.
Yes. Yeah. I think the more it is scary to say, I serve these people, I don't serve these people.
Yeah.
It is really hard when your mortgage is due to say no to a project. But I have found every single time that when I've said yes to the wrong project, it's just ballooned and taken over my schedule and taken over my headspace, and I'm exhausted. And then they tell their friends, and you're like, no, don't tell your friends. I don't want to work with more of
Right.
this.
I want more of you.
So, I think even if it's just, even if it's not a really deep ongoing partnership with this, project,
Yeah.
it definitely it weighs on you. And it can be, they might tell their friend who is a big project, or who, you know, tells 10 of their friends, and all of a sudden you're known for doing this sort of thing. And you're like, I don't want to be known for doing that. And that really does color the way that you're approaching your business and your desire to keep doing it. Um, I think that there are only so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to take a project that's going to take me 4 days because it just eats up all my headspace because I can't focus on anything else, it's great to have the money in hand, but at the same time, during those 4 days, what else could you be doing? How much more could you be doing to attract the right attract the right attention, attract the right projects, speak to the people who, really do relate to you.
Yeah. And how much more ease would you have found doing work for those people? Um, when you're doing the work that you are meant to be doing, it's not really work. It sort of just happens. You're in the zone, you're in the flow, and it's not detrimental, it's additive. So that intentionality and I'm just going to throw out my 800th aphorism for this particular session. How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
So that intentionality, if you really focus on it, you decide this is what I am, this is what I'm doing, this is who I want to work with. These are the things that interest me and that are important to me to bring forward. If you do that at each step of your branding, at each and I don't just mean your logo, I mean your company values, I mean the specific ways that you interact with your clients, I mean even down to whether you call something a coat or a jacket. It can really be that specific. All of that is a vehicle to help you call your right client and bring them to you
Mhm.
and have them tell their friends and so on and so on.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think the first step in that is saying it to yourself, coming up with a sentence that says, my business is, and your USP is, your unique selling, I can never get it right. Unique sales
Unique
perspective, selling
proposition.
perspective. What's that?
Your unique sales proposition.
Yes, that. Yes. I'm always like the unique selling thing, whatever.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
it is, my business does this for this type of person in using this unique thing. If you
Yeah.
can't say those three things about your business, I guarantee you are not being specific enough in the way that you're
Yes.
presenting. If you cannot say, I am a marketing, branding, and PR agency who does, work, writing, marketing and branding work for small to medium-sized businesses that operate slightly outside the corporate conventions. You don't, I mean, and it can be that simple because that's pretty much that's how we present ourselves.
Yeah.
If you can't at least spell it out that clearly, then you're not calling to your people. You're just not. There's no way that the people who are supposed to hear you are going to hear you. And yes, we could get more clients if we said, yeah, we do marketing.
For everything to everyone.
Yes. Yeah. And that's, I have a hard time sometimes in our in our group that we're in, the
Yeah.
for Rachel Rogers. Uh this people who will post like, hey, I need somebody to help me with figuring out or writing copy for this, or building my funnel, or doing my website copy, and there are so many different aspects of things that we can do, things that we might do, things that we would do in the right setting for the right business, whatever. It is so hard for me sometimes not to just be like, me, that's us, that's every single one,
Right.
all of you, get in line. But then I go, hold up, pause for a second. What is their business? Is this a fit? Is this somebody that is doing something that, resonates with us? When somebody asks, I need somebody to take a look at my resume, I go, I worked in recruiting. Yeah, I mean, I've read hundreds of resumes from working in recruiting. I could do this, but God, I hate it. I hate it so much. Could I? Do I need to go to the grocery store and pay my bill? Yeah, I guess I could, but it is in that intentionality that you kind of become a stable business. And the ones that are really
Yeah.
successful are the ones who are so specific in, this is my thing. This is the thing that I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think, as we wrap this up, if this is something that you, dear viewer, are struggling with, um, give us a shout. Go to our website, dossierAgency.com, or here on Facebook, drop us a note.
Mhm.
Take a look at our offerings, and we love what we do, and we would love to, assuming you're the right assuming you're a right client because you're watching. We would love to help you out with whatever you might need.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have some really cool stuff coming up soon too. So
Yeah,
really, really soon. That I
we'll let
think,
you know.
yes, we'll be in touch. Yeah, well, this is great. Thanks for chatting and
Thank you.
everybody for
Usual.
watching.
Sorry for the late start.
Oh no, it's fine. These things
All
happen.
right.
All right.
All right. Talk to you soon.
See you.